Hi everyone, we're kind of here and back. I need to make sure
Hmm.
that everything is good. Yeah,
Yep.
okay, we can be seen. It's clear. Hey, hey, bye bye. Hey, hey, bye bye. No stay. What? Oh, no,
Hmm.
stay. Okay.
Yep.
All right, there we
Yeah,
go.
no, oh,
I'm
okay.
seeing chat now. I can see that the video's live. Hopefully it does well and sticks around. Hopefully it's a Twitch issue. But we're having to read everything from the beginning. And sorry to Sonic,
Hmm.
we tried. Twitch was just a jerk. Moon has to go
Yep.
Mm.
soon, so
Twitch just wasn't having it,
Twitch
apparently.
just was not
Just
having
was
it.
not. No.
Moon, you're
Didn't
gonna have
want me
to
to read. I see how it is, Twitch.
Moon, you're gonna have to start where
Yep. Already got it pulled up.
okay. So yeah, after expressing my gratitude to Veldor and Ramirez,
Mm-hmm.
that's where we're starting.
All
So
right.
guys who were on Twitch watching this, um sorry, but we have to do it this way because not only was Twitch crashing and everything and causing all sorts of issues, but in order to upload this to the actual light novel channel, which is called Fat Dog Light Novels, by the way, um, we need to have the whole thing. Otherwise, that chunk of stuff is just missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get to
Okay.
it. Yeah. Update for Slime 9 for those who are here and haven't checked these out before. We'll do that at the end. So anytime there's a new person, just tell them to stick around because there's an update for Slime 9.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Moon, take it
All right.
away.
After expressing my gratitude to Veldora and Ramirez, I decided to go to floor 70 of the labyrinth. Adelman, following yesterday's evolution ritual, had fallen into a deep sleep. His harvest festival was underway, but his castle was still fully wrecked, so we dragged him to a guest room up top and had him sleep there. Alberto and Venti were put into their own quarters as well, and I was sure they'd all be waking up soon enough. But the Imperial prisoners of war were a problem for me. Adelman was taking care of them, and it wouldn't be good to leave them unattended. Besides, I was hoping they were calm enough by now to give me some more information about the Empire. It was a good opportunity for that anyway, so I decided to go and check on them. I had my two secretaries accompanying me, and I figured that'd be enough to keep me safe from through anything. You didn't have to. You didn't have to go do this yourself, Sir Rimuru. Oh, you want to do it for me then? Yes. Go down there and talk to them. Right. Off we go then. Diablo never changes, does he? And maybe that's true for Shion too. There's no way they'd voluntarily go down there. I'd never let Shion do this alone. I thought as she hugged me close to her chest. It was odd that they were both fine, the day after the evolution ritual, though. Shion was still unchanged after a full 24 hours, and Diablo was completely back to his usual self. So, did you manage to acquire any new abilities? Well, thanks to you, Sir Rimuru, I finally succeeded in obtaining an ultimate skill. Now I don't have to sit there and fume while Guy annoys me with his bragging. I'm sure Guy found Diablo more annoying, or far more annoying than the other way around. Like, I'm totally confident about that. Well, if that was so frustrating for you, you should have acquired one on your own. I'm sure you could have figured out an ultimate skill without my help, Diablo. No, I couldn't have. If I gained the skill after Guy told me about his, it'd be like I was copying him. It would look terrible. I don't get it. This isn't about who's copying whom, you know. If there's something useful out there, why don't you just have him teach it to you? Or am I thinking about this all wrong? No. Huh. How narrow-minded of you, Diablo. Better to ask than go astray, as I think they say. And ever since Sir Rimuru taught me that, I've always striven to listen to what people have to say. Gobichi has taught me the true essence of cooking as well, and now I've acquired full mastery of my craft. Shion seemed awfully smug about that, but personally, I think Gobichi wasn't, or just wanted to get away from her. I really wish Gobichi wouldn't go giving Shion this strange confidence of hers too. He needs to step up and take care of her to the bitter end, you know? Oh, was that the reason why Sir Gobichi was hospitalized a bit ago? If he had to put up with your cooking all the time, no wonder he fell ill. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be chiding Gobichi after all. But Diablo's gone through some tough times on this front as well. And Shuna doesn't even dare taste test anything Shion creates. So who'll deal with Shion's cooking? It's gonna have to be Benimaru, isn't it? Yeah, it's his responsibility to educate Shion. And I'll make sure... Oh, shit. And I'll make sure that's clear with him. And I'm not saying that just because I wanted to needle a newlywed or anything. Please don't misunderstand me here. Shion got us all derailed, but as we chatted on, we reached our destination in no time. Once we were transported over to the hilly area of floor 70, we were greeted by some people who shot up and saluted the moment they saw us. I'm not sure that's really the appropriate thing to do with the demon lord of an enemy nation, but Diablo and Shion seemed satisfied with it, so I didn't quibble. Lord Rimuru has graced us with his presence. Summon Lord Caligulio at once. And with that, the soldiers started jogging to and fro, forming a column that led directly to a single tent. Caligulio was conducting a military conference in there, according to the people guiding the way for us. Inside the tent were 100 or so important-looking people. They all saluted, on their feet and demonstrating impeccable posture. Getting this treatment from the top brass surprised me a little. I mean, I'm the king of their enemy, and I'm in slime for right now too. But nobody was looking down on me, and I guess Raphael's suggestion was more successful than expected. It's only natural, I suppose, if you think about it. If someone kills you and then brings you back to life, it's probably wise to fully submit to them. If I ran into someone like that, you can bet I wouldn't defy them. Convinced of this, I sat down on the seat at the head of the table I was guided to. I needed to be dignified here, so I changed over to human form, with Shion and Diablo behind me. Shion looked a little disappointed to not have me in her arms, but getting preoccupied with that was pointless, so I looked around the room and began to speak. All right, folks. Having all the big shots in one place is kind of helpful to me, actually. Yes, my lord! They all bowed their heads at once. It was going to be hard to talk with them like this, so I asked them to sit down before I began. Relax, guys, okay? I've got something I want to discuss. I gave them a warm smile. Hopefully this would ease their minds a little and enable us to have a nice, pleasant chit-chat. Adelman is busy with other matters at the moment, so he might not be able to come back for a while. So I was wondering if you guys had any requests for me right now. That is too kind of you, my lord. We are always well taken care of here, so please do not concern yourself about our plights. Yeesh, so formal. Caligulio provided the answer for the rest of them, but this treatment was just beyond stuffy. Then again, they've lost the war, so I suppose this would be normal of them anyway. Well, great then. So regarding our plans for the future... Yes, my lord. There is actually something we would all like you to do on that matter. They had a request after all, huh? I was fine with that as long as it wasn't anything too unreasonable. Then Caligulio gave me quite a surprise. We are hoping that we could be taken care of within this country for the time being. So if possible, we'd like to ask for your continued kindness. I pressed for more details. According to Caligulio, they were actually discussing their future direction when I stopped in. The conclusion they came to was that if they returned to the Empire, it was very likely they'd all be killed. Whoa, are you guys crazy? What kind of country kills the soldiers that fought for it just because they lost? I couldn't help but blurt that out. But I think that's exactly what will happen. Or no, that's Bernie. But I think that's exactly what will happen. Bernie, of all people, replied first. He was calm and logical now. It was hard to believe this was the same guy who attacked us. As he explained, nobody here could say that this grisly fate wasn't possible for them. So they'd sacrifice 1 million to awaken just one person? You've got to be kidding. It's the truth, my lord. Well, hang on. If that's true, then isn't it weird how they held off on a military invasion for so long because they feared that Veldora's seal was broken? Maybe we had that wrong and they were actually waiting for us to return. Or waiting for his return? I'm afraid that not even I can understand Emperor Ludora's thoughts on that matter. However, Lord Rimuru, I humbly believe that your observation is correct. Is this really Bernie? He was so polite that it seemed like a whole other person. But that's the deal here, huh? This guy Ludora's true objective wasn't just to win this war. He's going to pit the generals and soldiers of the Empire against an enemy powerful enough to weed out the losers from those who would be awakened by the experience. The sheer scale of this was too much for regular people to even comprehend. Menu.
It's not happening. Move on.
Okay. Report. It's an interesting idea. Stop that, dumbass! There's nothing interesting about using humans human beings as test subjects. Raphael does act up like this sometimes, doesn't it? Zegion was a successful example of such experimentation. For all I know, maybe I'm being the guinea pig for some other experiment of Raphael's. Negative. There is no confirmation of such a situation. Oh, really? I mean, I believe you, but. Anyway, that could wait. The question was whether to accept Caligulio's request. You know, though it costs money to feed all you guys, when we're talking 700,000 of you, that means importing food from other nations too, so. If they're likely going to be killed back home, I'm a little hesitant to just kick them out of Tempest. But honestly speaking, there's no reason for us to take care of them. I'm only responsible for my own people. These guys, well, I'd like them to make the most of their lives, but I can't do everything, you know? If we take in an influx of 700,000 trained military personnel, our neighbors to the west aren't going to keep quiet about that. Bloomond especially. In fact, it could even lead to needless blood being spilled. Still, it'd be kinda cold to just tell them to go home. I already saved their lives once, so I guess I should take responsibility for them right to the end. No other option, really, besides taking care of them. But I wasn't gonna do it for free. In our nation, you know, we have a credo that only those who put in the work deserve to have food on the table. If we're gonna feed you, we need you to work for it. But are you okay with that? The room had awaited a response with bated breath. Once I finished speaking, they all looked delighted. Absolutely, my lord. Order anything you want from us. They sure were motivated, even though I didn't tell them what they'd be doing yet. Either way, I'd allow them to stay here. Stay here, then. I had assumed that prisoners of war didn't mean much to the Empire. There were no Geneva Conventions here, no rules that warring states were expected to follow. The way Bernie described it, these POWs wouldn't be much of a bargaining chip for negotiating a ceasefire. If so, better to just commit and accept them as a labor force. The length of their stay was still to be determined, but they'll be working for us until at least the end of the war. They may not be too useful if their stay here is too short, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Hopefully they'll prove useful for something or other anyway. The officers here didn't seem to have any intention of defying me, at least. Maybe I could just leave them to Geld and have him take advantage. But he's in an evolutionary sleep right now and unavailable for a little while. So what can they do until he wakes up? By the way, are you guys any good at public works projects? It often comes as a surprise that a military would be full of people good at engineering. In my previous life, it was a well-known fact that when a warlord of ye olde Japan wanted to build a castle, his samurai were the ones who oversaw the construction. Even in modern times, Japan's self-defense forces played a huge role in things like disaster relief. The news would talk about how active they were in overseas aid projects and so on. Similarly, the engineers over in Dorgan have some pretty high-tech talent. They're not the most glamorous soldiers, but they're quite useful. It's no exaggeration to say that Kaijin, ex-leader of the Dwarven Engineering Division, literally laid the foundation for that whole kingdom. So there's always been that link between the military and civil engineering, but. Oh, of course! I'm proud to inform you that the Empire's technological capabilities are the best in the world! Good. In that case, let's see what they can do. Alright, here's your first. Alright. Oh, okay. Alright, here's your first task then. You see that destroyed castle out there? I want you guys to restore it to its former glory for me. I'll work out the supplies for it, but I want you guys to handle everything else from design on up. Can you do that? Since they destroyed it and all, I thought it'd be nice if they could fix it up as well. Caligulio eagerly nodded at me. As you wish, he said, looking supremely confident. A few men, presumably his staff, immediately got to work with all the swiftness of a well-oiled machine. They looked like people ready to do the job. Once Adelman wakes up, he could send some skeletons over to help out, and I think we could get this thing rebuilt in the not-too-distant future. Now the Imperial Army had a job. Time for my other objective, intel gathering. I thought we needed to go into. Oh yeah, you good. I thought we needed to go into some depth today, so I took a few of Caligulio's staffers familiar with Imperial matters and asked them to join me in one of our conference halls. I wanted to hold a meeting with them and the members of my cabinet who were still awake, so we could talk about what we'd do with the Empire next. At this point, the Empire was presumably still unaware that Caligulio's force was defeated. Yuki might have received reports from Misha and Lapis, but worrying about leaks from them seemed unwarranted to me. Besides, we're already aware of the Empire's current maneuvers. I told Luminous about the 300 airships traveling over the sea toward them. She replied. Watch me turn the tables on them all. I doubted Luminous herself would take action, but we had a treaty and she promised to guard against the Imperial forces coming from the north. The Holy Empire of Lubelius, as the world's religious headquarters, churns out a ton of paladins, and apparently they had their own standing force as well. Between that and the hidden threat that was the vampires, I felt fine leaving things in their hands. If Luminous got in any danger, the 150,000 strong Western deployment could step up, too. Testarossa had them standing by, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Most of all, though, Hinata was part of the team intercepting the airships. They were truly prepared for anything, but we still can't let our guard down. I looked at my assembled group and announced the start of the meeting. The following 17 people were seated in the hall. My secretaries, Shion and Diablo, Benimaru, my supreme general, and Rigurd and Kaijin, my assistants in political affairs, Gabiru and Gopta, my 2 core leaders, Hakuro, my advisor, Soe, my intelligence officer, and Ghidorah, too, as a material witness of sorts. The 3 demonesses, Testarossa, Ultima, and Carrera. On the Imperial side, there were Caligulio himself, Minutes, and Bernie and Jiwu. Including myself, we had 18 people in here. We started with introductions, and of course, the Imperials were utterly stunned that when they found out the 3 demonesses were all primals. Man, were those stares painful to endure. Sorry guys, it's Diablo's fault, not mine. I could already anticipate the complaints coming my way, so I decided to pretend nothing happened and get down to business. So if there's stuff you can't share with me, that's cool, okay? Just tell me whatever you can. With that, I used Argos, the Eye of the God, to put up a display showing the airship squadron in flight. Caligulio would be explaining the current state of the Empire to us, as we agreed upon beforehand. The Imperials looked pretty upset about the video on the large surveillance screen, but Caligulio kept his composure and promptly began his briefing. I already knew a bit about the situation over there from Ghidorah. That old man didn't seem to care at all about betraying the Empire. But Caligulio was a soldier. There might be some things he can't talk about, and we'll just have to follow up on that later. I told him what I knew in advance, so I'd be having him provide his briefing based on that.
Very well, in that case I will begin.
He was even more brisk and businesslike than I anticipated. The armored division that Caligulio led had a department called the Flying Combat Corps, which boasted 400 state-of-the-art airships. 300 of them were flying to northern Glacia, carrying full troop loads. Each one could carry up to 400 people, and a crew of 50 was enough to fly one. So that meant a maximum of 350 passengers. All this was just as Ghidorah explained to me. These ships were transporting the Magical Beast Division, led by one General Gratum, a force of 30,000 in all. However, it was actually more like 60,000 since each division member was partnered with a magical beast of their own. They were also joined by support personnel providing logistical services. They had a major general named Zamdo commanding them, but they were probably non-combatants who shouldn't be counted in military numbers.
It is a tad embarrassing to talk about this here, but most of the troops sent in Glacia are still novices. They can operate an airship just fine, but in an actual combat situation, their performances is likely going to suffer. Normally, they would be conducting R&D for us, so I hope you can show them some mercy.
As Caligulio explained, the Empire had deployed all its war power to Tempest, so he gave his rival, Gratum, nothing but non-combatant personnel. The support staff numbered around 30,000 in all, but there were hardly wizards or the like. Most were sorcerers, a level below. Beyond that, the rest were airship operators and maintenance techs, and Caligulio asked me to take them prisoner instead of killing them, if possible. Of all the brazen things to say, you invaded another country, and now that it looks like you'll lose, you want us to save them without killing anyone? Shion was enraged over this. It made Caligulio turn pale as he apologized. I tried to quiet her down a bit, but really I thought she was right. Caligulio understood that well enough too, which explained why he was so apologetic about it. But,
well, what happens over there isn't in our jurisdiction. Depending on how things go, I might have to,
Well, what happens over there isn't in our jurisdiction. Depending on how things go, I might have to disappoint you there.
Yes, I understand that, of course. Please do as you wish, Lord Rimuru.
I'll consider his request if I think it's possible, but I can't make any promises. My resurrection magic isn't a cure-all sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work if the conditions aren't right. And depending on how Luminous reacts to this, I may not be in any position to intervene anyway. I had heard that Gadium's magical beast division is a pretty considerable threat, and there's no guarantee that they won't deal serious damage to Hinata and her troops. If that happens, there won't be any time for mercy. We've got a ton of defensive capability, so I don't think we'd ever be defeated, but there are never any absolutes in war, so I can't make guarantees like that lightly. So that was the end of that. Now we had to talk about Dworgen's eastern city. I switched the Eye of God over to a shot of an army some 60,000 strong. They were deployed and looking pretty relaxed, no tension in the air whatsoever. The Imperial officers were shocked all over again, but I pressed on with my briefing. At present, Yuki and I have somewhat reluctantly joined together in an alliance. This might look like a tense standoff, but it's actually just kind of a big performance. Minutes snorted at this.
Well, look at that. If part of our army was compromised from the start, we had practically no chance of winning, did we?
Okay, I'm back.
Caligulio nodded. Okay. We...
I know where you are.
I don't... Okay, cool.
I know how.
Caligulio
I
nodded.
know how to find things.
All right. Caligulio nodded.
Yeah, and the moment my armored division and Gradim's magical beast division are wiped out, they'll turn their claws toward the Imperial capital, and then checkmate, eh?
They exchanged embittered looks. Now they knew they were defeated both in strength and in strategy. But not everyone was on the same page. I don't think so. The Emperor still has people in the capital who will protect him. I know I've said this many times before, but an awakened soldier is a literal one-man army. I'm sure they would have foreseen the possibility of that Yuki would rebel against them. It was kind of weird hearing Bernie talk like this. My image of him and Masayuki's long-suffering flunky was still too strong in my mind. This seemed like someone totally different. Is this the real you I'm seeing here, Bernie? I don't know who that was.
No. The real me is more how I was when I was traveling with Masayuki.
I asked the question on reflex, but Bernie... Okay, so that was him. But Bernie was honest enough to provide an answer. So his current attitude is him in military mode. But he's usually a lot more informal, huh? He also informed me that he's originally from the United States and is 45 years old. He was originally an average student like any other, so the Bernie I saw before me was all the result of his education in this world.
And he is once again asking for your financial support.
Of course.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That much probably doesn't matter to anyone besides himself, although it did make me feel a little affinity for him.
But you're probably right. I heard that there's someone in the Empire who could potentially kill me.
And it's totally... Oh, wait. No, okay. But you're probably right. I heard that there's someone in the Empire who could potentially kill me. And it's totally expected that a cornered mouse can find a way to turn the tables on the cat. The quality over quantity dynamic in this world was tough to wrap your head around. No matter how big an army you assembled, it could still be defeated by one person if they're unlucky. That's how we won. That's how we won, too. So we needed to consider being in the opposite position as well.
And this is where I interrupt you because we haven't had enough of that today.
What?
You've been reading consistently without much interruption, so I felt like this is wrong. This is not how we normally do things. I need to interrupt you.
Fair.
Also, I'm trying to cheer.
We didn't meet our quota.
I'm trying to cheer myself up after this mountain of stress that just fucking crashed on top of me. So you're like,
Right.
hey, there's great sage lines, and I'm like, fuck off! Like,
Yeah, I can kind of feel that. I was like, I'll just do my best impression.
No goofing
Okay.
around. We need to make up for lost time.
Because like literally, I was going through the thing and like seeing some stuff, and I'm like, no. So literally, thankfully he answered. I had to call Calvin and have a short chat with him and be like, hey, buddy, why is this?
Things aren't right. What?
This looks like shit. It sounds like shit.
No.
No.
First off, I would never talk to Calvin like that.
Ever.
You put respect on that man.
Yeah, obviously.
And secondly,
Absolutely.
the few audio issues there were, I'm like, I know why you missed these things. Because you were up really, really late at night and probably tired beyond belief. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Or he could have accidentally uploaded the wrong file to me, which is also
That
a
is also possible.
possibility. Yeah. Anyhow, now that I've interrupted you, please continue.
Yes. In that case,
All is right
why don't
with
I
the
travel over there? Yep. In that case, why don't I travel over there and show this someone a thing or two? Oh no, that's Shion. In that case, why don't I travel over there and show this someone a thing or two? Shion's hand was already on her giant sword. We had zero guarantee that she could win, so I had to turn down that request. In that case, allow me to.
Denied.
Denied. I don't even want to imagine a scenario where Diablo lost, but still, no. My policy here was to wait and see until we can create a situation where we're totally sure we can win.
Do you think
That
the
much,
whole
as I
wait and
reminded
see
everyone in the
approach-
room, I... Do what?
Do you think the whole wait and see approach is why what's about to happen happened? Because he's too passive.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Should have sent
Uh,
Diablo.
Yeah, I wanted to be through with. Intelligence is really the most important thing. The important thing, though, isn't it? I can't even count the number of failures we've had because of a lack of information. We gotta keep our ears open right now so we don't fall into the same trap again. So, you guys were sticking with Masayuki because it lets you get close to me without attracting suspicion, right? Honestly, I had no idea at all, and the timing of that attack was incredibly dangerous for me. I was talking to Bernie and Jiwoo. They might have been acting on Damrada's orders, but it really was a perfect strategy. One not even Raphael picked up on. I had to applaud them for that, enemy or not. I'm sure they had opportunities to target me before then, but it couldn't have been easy for them to keep their maximum fighting skills under wraps until that one critical moment. Hold on. Ugh. Come on. Anyways. We had the upper hand this time, maybe, but things could have easily gone the other way, and the Emperor would have gotten exactly what he wanted. Tempest, without Maru and me, would fall into total disarray, and the Empire would have instantly overrun it. My pride got the best of me there. I was laboring under the assumption that the labyrinth is always safe. I need to remember that during war, there is always another danger to consider. Me as well. I will be sure to more thoroughly vet anyone who gets close to Sir Rimuru. Oh, wait, no, that was Benimaru and Soe. I'll let you.
Okay, stop. So, from this point on, Shim's gonna take over anyway. So, say your line, because it's gonna be like several pages before we get to a proper
another
stopping
star or
point for
something?
us. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Also, also we're gonna stop for a moment because ads are about to run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, we'll let the ads run.
Get
Are they
some
running right
water,
now?
Whatever.
I saw that an ad thing was happening. They typically happen every ads inserted. I don't know when the ads end. I just know that ads happened. I don't know how long. See, I'm not going to see the ads unless I'm.
Well, let me take a look then.
Unless I'm watching the thing.
Watching.
Oh, I have premium. I'm not gonna be able to see him.
I don't have premium.
Thank-
I forgot about that.
Moon's suffering
I'm sitting
from
there like,
success.
why? Why
Yeah,
aren't they?
my
Oh
premium
yeah.
Now I just logged into the
Oh.
thing, so I'm not seeing. I don't know if we're still in the ad thing or not. Okay, there we go. There's the guys. Just let us know when the ads are back. I'm not blocking them at present. Huh? I'm not seeing one. You're not seeing an ad? Okay. How come you guys don't have recordings of reading volumes 1 through 5? Wait, what? Oh, Jesus.
I think that was before y'all had it set to upload to YouTube. It was like before you had a certain amount of something or another.
Gotcha. That's
I
a
know
new
there's
comment.
one
That was a
that-
new comment that
God.
dropped. Okay, nobody's seeing him. Nobody's seeing him, huh? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So Shim, just take over. Moon.
I will also
Okay.
take this time. I'm out. Y'all have a good one. Catch you guys later.
All right.
Alrighty.
Bye
It's good to
bye.
hear from you.
Yep.
Okay.
Me as well.
Yeah. Me as well. Oh, me as well. I will be sure to be more thoroughly vet anyone who gets close to Sir Rimuru.
I
That's
will be sure
a
to
weird
more
sentence.
thoroughly vet anyone who gets close
Okay.
to.
Sorry, I was like, this is weird. I'll be sure to more thoroughly vet anyone who gets close to Sir Rimuru. Benimaru and Soe must have been hung up about that, but I can't pin this on them alone. They had always been way more vigilant than I ever was, anticipating every potential eventuality. I guess didn't have my ears up for danger at all, and that was something I needed to improve on. Sir Damrata was the one who ordered us to protect Masayuki. He never told me what for, and I don't think that order could have leaked out anywhere. Me neither. We didn't receive our orders at the same time. It was through different channels, so we wouldn't know each other's real identities. I didn't know Bernie was a single digit until the assassination order came for you, Lord Rimuru. Excuse me. Now Bernie and Jiu were a full part of the conversation. I made it clear they had a right to remain silent, so I appreciated their willingness to talk for me. But something about these statements bothered me. Do you mean you didn't know, or that you didn't remember until just then? No. I've never met another single digit besides myself. I only learned Jiwoo was one as well when I got that order. Same here. I don't think any of them know each other's true identity except for the commander and vice commander. That was a surprise. The Empire's best forces don't even know each other at all? Why are they leaving him in the dark like that?
Understood. Presumably, it is for the purpose of preventing treachery. You treacherous bastards, you.
Hello, Rickalicious.
Traitorous trade about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One could say
If they don't know each
trading
other's...
places.
Shmish,
Shmish.
Smash, smash, smash.
Yeah. If they don't know each other's identities, they can't conspire to overthrow their bosses. That's just beyond thorough. It shows how careful they are to protect the Emperor's safety, I guess. I can understand that, I suppose, but it strikes me as pretty wasteful and inefficient. If you two were acquainted, you could have been working together against me from the very beginning. My statement elicited a chuckle from Ghidorah. Sir Rimuru, may I speak frankly and with the utmost of respect for you? Sure, of course. Anything's well. Very well. If I may, Sir Rimuru, you possess a great deal of intelligence, but I fear that you are not very careful at times. I know this man Damrata very well, and I'll inform you that he's a cunning fellow. He doesn't even trust his own subordinates, and for him, caution is his lifelong mantra. Sounds like Raphael was right. They arranged it in that way to prevent any conspiracies. I knew Damrata was one of the three leaders of Cerberus and a man who trusted money and nothing else, but I guess he was that way with everything in his life, huh? And he was one of the highest ranking single digits as well? Hold on. I've never met him before, but he sounds like a pretty bad guy. Given his approach to killing Ghidorah, I figured he had to be a single digit. And if he was in a position to give orders to you two, Bernie and Jiwoo, does that mean Damrata's the head of the group? No, Ghidorah replied. Damrata is likely the vice commander. I am all but certain the commander is Tatsuya Kondo. Right, the director of the Imperial Intelligence Bureau and one of the people Ghidorah had his eye on. Ghidorah said he didn't know him very well, but despite the lack of information, he seemed fairly certain about that based on Damrata's true identity. Having all this exposed left the Imperials in the room despondent. Bernie and Gio were giving all sorts of useful info. They must have figured there's no point hiding it any longer. They said Ghidorah was right, that Damrata is the vice commander of the Imperial Guardians, ranked number 2 in the whole Empire. We weren't sure if Kondo was the leader yet, but there's no doubting that Damrata is still way up there in the hierarchy. Good job, Ghidorah, I thought as I listened to them. And, to tell the truth, the attack on Lord Rimuru wasn't a command from Sir Damrata, but actually a secret order from Commander Kondo. It was for me too. It was weird, I thought, because it overrode our orders to guard Masayuki. Jiwo explained to me that she had prepared a backstory for herself where her home village was rescued by Masayuki. That way, he'd instantly trust her, and then she'd be repaying the favor by guarding him. Well, if you were going to blow your covers at the same time, wouldn't it have been better to work together from the start? I agree with you, yes. I believe he was using Masayuki to keep from arousing your suspicion, because it certainly was the perfect opportunity to kill you. Looking back on it, Bernie realized that he had some questions about the whole thing. Assuming there were no lies in their tale, and considering the overall situation, it might have been that Damrata and the commander had different objectives. Damrata organized this entire undercover operation. It'd be odd for him to order its total abandonment. Maybe it was a sacrifice made to improve their chances of success, but even so, I was sure there could have been another way. I thought it was natural for Bernie and Jiwoo to wonder about that, and to suspect some underlying reason for it. By the way, have any of you Empire guys ever seen Emperor Ludor's face? The question suddenly occurred to me, so I asked it. Only Ghidorah raised his hand. You're kidding me. You don't know what the man you serve looks like? Benimaru sounded pretty surprised. Well, boss, you don't act much like any other ruler, Kaijin said. You're social enough to go eating and drinking around town, and you're always willing to chat with anyone who wants to. That's just weird. Oh, come on. Hey, no disrespect intended. King Gazelle has that side of him too, although he's a bit stricter with his behavior than you. But, royal nobles kinda like a little more prestige in their life, right? And I think a good number of them prefer keeping their faces away from the little folk. Huh. What Sir Kaijin said makes sense to me, noted Rigurd, but I'm still not sure I really understand it. That is to say, hiding your face from the people who are supposed to be guarding you or hiding your face from the people who are supposed to be guarding you even, isn't that a little too excessive? Well, yeah, even I thought that was going way too far, Kaijin agreed. It is weird, isn't it? Not weird, Hakuro said to Gobta, so much as abnormal. Bernie, was it? May I ask you a question? What do you want to know? Why is it that the Empire or Emperor's own guardians don't even know what he looks like? How are you meant to guard him then? Being exposed to that sharp gaze of Hakuro's made Bernie sit back up, attempting to rally himself. Well, it's simple. Only people ranked 6 or greater have seen His Majesty in person. Our commander and vice commander are often out on other business, but the remaining 4 accompany our emperor at all times. The members of this quartet were apparently referred to as the Four Knights, and all of them were so formidable that, as far as Bernie and Jiwoo knew, none of them had been replaced in many, many years. So the 2 of you weren't quite as trusted as those 4, then? Are you inferior to these 4 knights in ability as well? Hakuro certainly wasn't shying away from the tough questions. It seemed to frustrate Bernie a little. You could take it that way, yes. Trying to defeat any of those 4 would be an uphill battle for me. Plus, His Majesty is also attended to by the juggernaut we discussed before. The fearsome Imperial Marshal. Someone I'd never have a chance against. In fact, I'm not sure the rest of the single digits together could even score a victory against this menace. There's that so-called juggernaut again. So far, we know about Kondo, Damrata, the 4 Knights, and this Marshal figure, huh? That makes 7, and if you add Bernie and Jiwoo to that, you got 9 people. 1 for each single digit, so to speak. But, hang on. If the cutoff for access to the Empire or the Emperor was single digit number 6, the Marshal must not be a ranked member, technically. That means there's still 1 more unknown single digit out there. In other words, 8 people I'd better stay on my guard for in all. And if Kondo wasn't actually the commander, that'd be 1 more figure to add to the mix. Worrying indeed. Learning about that was good and all, but I wanted to ascertain something else first. I heard from Ghidorah that Masayuki and Emperor Ludor look exactly alike. Ghidorah nodded. The rest of the meeting hall considered this for a few moments. And Damrata ordered you to protect Masayuki, right? And he arranged things so that both of you would be in the dark about each other and nobody would suspect anything. But after all that trouble, you received an order that abandoned the entire setup. Is it me, or are Damrata and the single-digit commander working against each other here? I was pretty sure about this by now, so I went ahead and said it out loud. If I had to guess, it seemed likely Damrata really was trying to keep Masayuki safe. Why? I don't know, but the fact that he and the Emperor are spitting images of each other must have something to do with it. But you said you were using Masayuki, right? Right. I had no idea why we were asked to protect him, keep in mind. That's why I didn't question the commander's order at all. Me neither. Sir Damrata never explained his reasoning at all. They were using Masayuki to get closer to me. If Damrata ordered them to do so, it would have made sense, but then the commander had to stick their neck in. This brought up another question, so I had to ask. So do you think the commander is aware of Masayuki's resemblance to the Emperor? That's a good question, Ghidorah said. But if the commander is Kondo, as I believe he is, then he most certainly would have known. We do know this man Kondo, although I can't surmise what his situation was at the time. The stories say he's a very sly man, who has an iron grip on all the intelligence the Empire has. Yes. In his capacity as head of the IIB, he's been called a mysterious figure stalking the halls of information. The IIB and military have never been on friendly terms with each other, and I had a hard time dealing with him too. We had tried launching hostilities against him several times, but they all ended in failure. That alone is proof that he's far from ordinary. Funny how Caligula was trying to fudge the details, only to have minutes reveal everything anyway. It was clear that, to the Imperial military, Kondo was seen as a wild card and a threat, and if he could get the better of someone as talented as Minutes, he was a force to be reckoned with. I could certainly never beat him anyway. Old man Ghidorah, despite appearances, is no slouch in battle. By my estimation, he might rank up there with the Satan strength. His magical count isn't all that high, but he more than makes up for it with his casting skills. Excuse me. If someone like him claims he can't win, then Kondo must be at least saint level, a titan up there with Hinata or King Gazo. Besides, Bernie and Jiu were saints as well, and Caligula went and got himself awakened. Without an ultimate skill to call his own, Ghidorah probably couldn't have beaten any of them. So now I knew that Kondo's a danger in a fight and a master of spycraft. Then he must have known about Masayuki, I imagined. But if Kondo was aware of Masayuki, I said, perhaps he had different intentions from Damrata, huh? Bernie and Jiwoo's attack was so massive, it's clear they didn't really care if Masayuki lived or died. That's totally at odds with Damrata's order. Well, Bernie had a bit of trouble picking his words. To tell the truth, what the commander told us exactly was to get rid of Masayuki as well, since he'd no longer be useful. Such was their orders, but after traveling together and building something of an attachment, they were both hesitant to just kill the guy. Hence, they decided to put off discussing his fate until they were finished with me. If they could hide him somewhere, then perfect. If not, the idea that it had was to magically erase his memories instead. Anyway, it was all crystal clear to me now. So, I know he's not going to like this, but I think he'll need to be kept under guard for a little while. Can I have you handle that, Soe? Yes, sir. Right. I knew I could count on him. Yeah. Let's assume that Damrata and the commander have different agendas then. One of them wants to protect Masayuki, the other one wants him dead. We don't know why yet, of course, but clearly there's a conflict here. Yes, and if we can find a way to take advantage of this, it could be a great windfall for us. I don't think it'd be that easy, but the fact that our enemy isn't a monolith is itself good news. You think so? I guess. If you're having trouble distinguishing friend from foe, then you have to assume everyone's a foe. But let's get some more information before we decide on matters. Now that I knew what was going on with Bernie and Jiwoo, I wanted to talk about the factions within the Empire. Not the military exactly, but the other higher-ups with access to ultimate skills. Alright, can you tell me more about the single digits? Bernie obliged. Sure. There are only 9 single digits at any given time. For someone stronger to take up a position, it's quite likely someone else would need to be forcibly kicked out of the rank. Meaning that there's not that much difference in strength among the top single digits? You mean it's possible for, say, numbers 9 and 10 to swap spots? No, he said with a shake of his head. Rank number 11 is a sort of auxiliary single digit, while number 10 is a substitute. If someone drops out of the single digits, one of those two can take their place, only on a temporary basis. So there was a pretty insurmountable gap between 9th and 10th then? Sounds like the clincher is whether you got an ultimate skill, or is whether you've got an ultimate skill. Only if you've awakened, and that awakening nets you an ultimate, would you be considered for the single digits. Bernie, by the way, is ranked 7th, with Jiwoo coming in 9th, which means I had to look out for numbers 1 through 6, number 8, and this martial guy too. Meanwhile, the two of them didn't know much about Damrata's faction. They didn't even know who besides themselves were single digits, so I doubted they were lying about that. But I wanted to know more about other people anyway, so hopefully they could give me something useful. Number 10, the substitute, is kept on call within Empire territory at all times, so they can spring into action the moment something comes up. Meanwhile, Imperial Knights ranked 11th or below are assigned to groups of 3 and tasked with solving Empire-level cases and crises. As Bernie put it, number 10 was a pretty powerful guy as well. No ultimate skill, but still maybe as strong as an awakened Demon Lord. With the remaining 90 Imperial Knights, you saw a pretty big talent gap between the 20s and the ranks below that. But even so, you had to be at least Enlightened class to become a member. Some of the people up top could rank pretty close to Saint level. If the Eastern Empire wanted to boost the Imperial Guardians' overall strength, they'd likely have to stage a war pitting them against multiple Demon Lords at once. Are you kidding me? Minutes countered. They want us to wage war against someone who defeated us without losing a single soldier? Yeah, the fact that 100 Imperial Guardians are more of a threat than a million-strong army sure gives me pause, though. Well, Bernie said with a sigh, that's how it is. The Imperial army serves mostly as a visual threat to people, after all. The Empire needs a visible, public sort of deterrent for the unwitting fools who can't comprehend what real strength is. I could tell he was talking about more than a threat to the nations in the West. It applied to the Empire's own subjects as well. People who paid taxes in exchange for guaranteed safety. If the Empire told them 100 people were all they really needed to defend the land, that'd make anyone uneasy. In this case, quantity truly did mean something important after all. Or it did mean something important. After all, offense is one thing, but, when defending, you need numbers. The more bases you have to maintain, the more personnel you need to defend them. In that sense, the Empire's policy actually seems pretty sound. You know, in the past, the main purpose of our standing army was defense. We'd use only our elite forces to attack other nations and sap their will to fight. Once their work was done, we'd send the army over to establish rule in the name of the Emperor. At some point, however, we began to dispatch our army first. I've always wondered why they did that, actually. It never occurred to me that it was so they could manufacture more awakened people. Ghidorah seemed convinced. In fact, this sounded like a pretty important secret to me. Now I think I'm beginning to see Emperor Ludor's objectives. So victory wasn't the point of this whole invasion in the first place, was it? And Sir Caligulio did become awakened, along with several others whom I think came close. I think Emperor Ludor's true mission was to add more fighting pawns to his collection. Benimara must have reached the same conclusion I did, and Bernie was getting more talkative too. Oh, you're right. There are several people in this invasion deemed likely to awaken. Not just General Caligulio, but also Major General Minutes, Colonel Kansas, and Krishna, and a few others too. My orders specified that I should work with the newly awakened to find an escape route once the dust settled. But really, this is the first time I've seen the commander's plans go this haywire. He accompanied that with a little chuckle, but I sure wasn't laughing. If that many people awakened on us, we would have had more than just a tough battle on our hands. Besides, now that we knew the Empire was trying to awaken more of its troops, we had to admit that our assumptions about them were completely wrong. I thought they went to war because they were confident about beating us in the Western nations, after all. Raphael agreed with me on that, and it certainly seemed logical to me, but... Excuse me.
Should I do it, or do you want to do it?
It's Raphael. Raphael.
Sorry, I'm having to fix some stuff.
That's okay.
Yeah, on the light novel channel, I'm over there fixing stuff. So I'm
Oh,
looking
yeah,
for
yeah,
Raphael's. Is it acknowledged? Is that where we're at?
Report.
No, it's we're at report.
Definitive conclusion.
Oh, report.
Mhm.
Definitive conclusion failed due to lack of information. This will be redefined later to achieve perfection. I'll get it eventually, bitch!
What are you making sound
me
over
cook.
there?
Let me cook.
Let me cook,
Let me
God
cook.
damn it!
Yeah.
Hey, you get to name your strays, and I get my experiments.
Yeah. Leave me alone to my devices. Be gone.
Smish. Guys, okay, quickly, I want to address a few comments on the light novel channel, if you'll allow me that for just a moment.
Yes.
So for anybody who's watching this on the light novel channel or has made comments on, first off, thank you for making comments on the light novel channel. We appreciate that. But secondly, firstly, I definitely need people to come in the comments after the intro has been carved out. The intro music has been carved out of the show. So I can time code when it is that we start reading. That helps a lot because it makes it a lot easier if I can put that chapter in there and people can skip to it and be like, all right, you don't want our shenanigans at the beginning, even though I think a lot of people love our shenanigans in the beginning, but
It's
just in
part of
case
that.
they want to get right
Yeah.
to the,
Experience.
just get right to the reading, I can do that. Time coding that. As for
Which
the
is
reason
reasonable,
why,
yeah.
as for the reason why volumes 1 through 5 of Slime are not up on the light novel channel, I'm going to address that right now. We don't have them. All of that stuff was recorded before we made the channel to archive everything too. So volumes 1 through 5 are going to be missing. We're not rereading them to put them up online. We're just not. That's going to take way
It's
too
also
long.
like completely different people. I mean, at
Yeah, we're
least
sorry.
Moon and me were not with those.
Yeah. So
No, it was just me and Richie for like the first several volumes. I think.
it was.
Yeah.
And Calvin too.
Mhm.
for a
Calvin
bit.
too, and
Mhm.
sometimes Chara.
And
But
sometimes Char. All right.
yeah,
On the other part of that, for those asking for more Mushoku Tensei, it's coming. It's coming. I'm
It's
leaving
coming.
replies to that saying that as soon as we get caught up on Slime, we're gonna start all over on Mushoku Tensei, especially
This
because
feels like a when Tensei.
choke.
it does a little bit, but also
When
guys,
Migoku.
hold on.
Let him cook.
Once we get caught up on this, we're going to read Mushoku Tensei from volume 1 all the way through with the crew, because a lot of them are going to be reading it for the very first time. When I read all this stuff,
It should be done by the time we finish.
well, yes, there's supposedly only one volume left. I've read 25 and I'm like, oh, are we sure 26 is the epilogue? Because it doesn't feel like the epilogue.
Guess so.
Especially with the
Pretty
cliffhanger we just ended on. All right. Anyway, that being said, guys, look forward to that, because basically when I was reading Mushoku Tensei on the streams, I already knew what was coming. None of this was new to me. All right.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a crew of people who are reading this content for the first time. Some who know nothing about Mushoku Tensei, and that's fine.
Me. That's
There we go. All right. That has been my intermission. Please continue.
Oh, actually, you know what? Real quick, since we're on that, is it worth watching the anime first, or just kind of going into the book?
Either or. You can do it either or. You're gonna.
I'm
enjoy
gonna watch
it.
the anime first, then probably.
You can. I mean, it's a good anime. Yeah.
I've heard it's good.
I saw 2 episodes.
You mainly, and I haven't really
yeah,
talked to other people about it, to be fair, but
It's also
I probably
really.
should put 'em
It's also just. It's not different from a bunch of different isekai. It follows all the same tropes. The thing that differentiates it from all the other isekai is how well it does everything.
Yeah, I mean, like Demon Slayer is like the story is not that different to a lot of different other shonen, but they do it very well. So,
All right.
no.
Anyway, let's
anyway.
go ahead and continue. I know after this paragraph, I have another Raphael line, so I'll keep with you.
Okay.
Yep.
I felt a hint of embarrassment from Raphael there, but asking it to read that deep was far too much to hope for, and I wasn't about to do that. So no harm, no foul this time, I'd say, just as long as we can use this experiment or experience for the first or for next time.
Acknowledged. I will review the information so nothing is overlooked. Try and blame
Great.
me for this.
Damn, I
bullshit.
can't look. What if I help look it over with you? We could go faster. No.
Yeah, just go over there. Great.
Do your thing.
I'm
I'll
counting
do
on
my
you,
thing.
okay? Really. Or, I'm counting on you, okay? Really. I'll need Raphael as a reference on the Empire's future movements. For now, though, let's discuss our takes on these new revelations. So, Ludora was collecting awakened people for his group of elite fighters. I don't like admitting it much, but it seems like he can grant them ultimate skills, like he did with Bernie and Jiwoo. They've got my group, the Octagram, and the assorted champions of the Western nations. Emperor's trying to gather enough people to crush them all at once and conquer the world, isn't he? Benimaru and Diablo agreed. Yeah, it's quite a headache, but it sounds right to me. That's why any non-awakened soldiers mean next to nothing for him. Yes. Humans are inherently weak creatures, but possessing even one ultimate skill could put them on more equal footing with the likes of us. Tough to admit, isn't it? I am not enjoying the thought, no. Hey, it's fine, right? If those skills are that useful, then we can just learn them too, and we're good. It'd make fighting far less interesting, wouldn't it?
you think this is
That's
a
rather
shonen?
backward thinking.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I thought it was
That's-
just like, oh wait, I'm thinking like I thought this was slice of life.
It's certainly not a shoujo.
I thought it
Yeah.
was just isekai.
Just gonna put that on the
Alright.
same pile.
Wait, no, don't put me over there. It
Yep,
smells.
yeah.
No.
Stay there.
I'm very
Good
tiny,
lord.
apparently.
That's rather backward thinking, isn't it, Testarossa? If our foe fails to possess such powers, then there's no need to use them, is there? That was the thought process behind the ultimate skill I procured for myself, after all. What? Hey, that's not fair. Put your leg up on us like that. Ah, such delicious jealousy from the have-nots. I used to ignore Guy instead of letting him taste my envy, I'll have you know. Diablo's a pretty selfish guy, isn't he? I thought he was backing me up here, but now this conversation's going in stranger and stranger directions. If we don't stop this, Testarossa and her friends are going to start acting real dangerous before long. Getting back to the topic, Riekert said. Is it safe to assume that you think the Empire's objective is to weed out the strong from the weak, Surimaru? Yeah, I'm with the boss on that one. This world's full of people with superhuman force, starting with King Gazo and continuing on with Hinata. Oh, wait, hold on. That's Kaijin. Yeah, I'm with the boss on that one. This world's full of people with superhuman force, starting with King Gazo and continuing on with Hinata and Her Excellency, Emperor Almesia. Keeping these giants protected was what kept the balance of power in the world stable, and if they can build up enough numbers to break that balance, well, that's when the real fun begins, ain't it? Rigurd and Kaijin both got me perfectly. Aha. So they pitied, or, hold on.
They pity the fool.
Yeah, they
They
pitied a
pitied
fool.
them fools.
Aha. So they pitted strong against strong, surrounding their allies with people who can assist them. That way, the weak wouldn't get in their way. Wow, pretty awful. But at least the weak don't have much work to do. Yes, it'd be a blessing for the weak if it only took the strong to settle wars. But accepting all these sacrifices in order to create more strong men truly does go against my aesthetic senses. Hearing Gabiru's and my other friends' reactions made Caligula minutes wince a bit. They were both neck deep in that whole scene, and now the sheer madness of the operation was probably sinking in. Plus, I think Hakuro was right just now. War really should be fought only by people eager to fight. It's
War
crazy
is
to get
hell.
weaker people involved. It is. War never changes. But, of course, the world doesn't always work that way.
But it probably should. Its diaper is full.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jesus.
warfare does kind of change when you think about it.
War never changes. It's pants.
Yes, it does. Yep.
But it should.
We've gone from swords to guns. I'm pretty sure we've changed a lot.
Why do I sound like Batman?
Eh.
Because I'm Batman.
Why am I in a war zone?
Why do I sound like Batman?
War.
Because
All
I'm
bets are off.
Batman.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry.
Batman straight does murder aliens, though. He will not
Yeah,
murder
he do.
people, but he will murder aliens.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he just kind of, he does what he wants. By the way, Ghidorah said, I seem to recall that Kid Yuki saying that the Demon Lord Guy wasn't happy to see the Empire gaining strength. They say he's the strongest Demon Lord of all, so I found it rather odd that he'd be so concerned. Certainly, they had ultimate skills on hand. Maybe they had what it took to hurt Guy. It's only natural for him to be wary. Guy's objective is to unite the world under the rule of the Demon Lords, after all. The Empire is directly clashing against that, so it's far more than just a conflict of interest between them, but... Excuse me.
You're not excused.
Hold on. That's odd, though. How can someone as arrogant as Guy allow the Empire to keep existing? The stronger the opponent, the more engaging the fight, after all. But Guy's being surprisingly slow to act. If he was able to, I imagine he would have promptly gone out himself to lay waste to all those fools. Diablo, Ultima, and Carrera all had their questions. Testarossa had the answer. Oh, that's easy. It's because Lady Velgrin lives in their territory, and if he messes with the Empire, he might get on her bad side. That's why I was similarly on my best behavior in Imperial lands. Caligulio gave her a surprised look. That was your best behavior? Minutes muttered softly. I don't know what Testarossa was up to over there, but it's none of my business. I don't want to start being assigned blame for events that happened way before my time, so I let it slide. The name Velgrin piqued my curiosity. Could that be... surprising. Lady Testarossa, showing respect for the flame dragon from the divine area of fire? Minutes was clearly trying to change the subject as rapidly as possible. Testarossa's come again smile probably unnerved him, but now I was convinced I knew who Velgrin was. Here we had a true dragon, one of 4 in the world, Eldora's flame-wrangling elder sister, so that was the Empire's ace in the hole.
Okay, pause. There's an ad that played.
Oh.
I mean, it won't show up in the light novel thing, but yeah, the ad played during. Yeah, so some people got ads. Sorry, I was away. I did not see the ad, but yeah, 1 minute went by. So some people are getting ads.
Yeah, it just...
All right, go ahead.
We don't normally do it on
Okay.
YouTube, so...
Yeah. I wouldn't call it respect, no. The relationship between our kind and the True Dragons was somewhat complicated. But since our masters, Sir Rimuru and Sir Veldora, are both on our side, it'd only be natural to pay our respects to his sister as well, wouldn't it? So if it wasn't for their current relationship with Veldora and me, the Demonesses wouldn't show any respect at all for True Dragons? Hang on. Testarossa. So you stayed on your... Oh, hold on. Hang on, Testarossa. So you stayed on your best behavior because you couldn't beat Velgrind? Or could even Guy beat her? Strictly speaking, no, I could not. Guy, I cannot speak for, but victory would have been impossible for me. It's not a matter of strength, though. The true dragons are immortal beings. There's no overcoming that unfair advantage. Testarossa was the epitome of unfairness in battle, I thought, but now she was using that term for this true dragon. What could Velgren be like, even? I just hope none of this talk gets back to Valdora, though. I can already hear his haughty laughter in my mind. Sure. So, maybe... Hold on. Sure. So maybe not even a true dragon's a threat for Guy. But he still can't fully destroy them, huh? I don't know. Not with magic, at least. If we can't kill them, it doesn't count as a win. That seemed to be the standard for demons. And if it was, there was never any true or beating a true dragon. And I think Valdora told me before about how his race can always resurrect themselves after death. A demon could be eliminated by crushing their heart core, but in the case of true dragons, they'd still come back to life anyway. Although their personality and part of their memories would be reset, I guess. Maybe some true dragons can retain those memories, though, like some demons can. If so, that'd render them truly immortal. I see. And if the Empire has someone like that for us, we can't afford to make any ill-advised moves. What Velgrind was to Guy, I couldn't say, but to us, she was absolutely a threat. When I voiced that concern, Caligulio shot me a confused look. Then he, Minutes, Jiwoo, and Bernie spoke up in order. If I may, my lord. As far as I know, the Empire has enshrined Lady Velgrind as its official guardian dragon. If you look back in history as well, this dragon has protected us from attack by the angels. However, she stays with the Empire only because they offer her tribute. It's merely a whim on her part. She is a beautiful, noble dragon of crimson, and she symbolizes the prosperity of the Empire as a whole. We in the single digits are granted an audience with her after His Majesty accepts us. There, we have her learn our names and appearances, and we swear that we will never defy her. Yes, I went through the same ceremony. I'd have to be insane to defy her. No one could ever win that battle. So the Empire and Velgrind were connected, but not in such a way that the Empire could ask her for any favors, I guess. Also, something about Bernie's reaction bothered me a bit. More than a bit, actually. A whole lot. Hey, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but you said that nobody could beat the Marshal, right? But who would win in a fight between that guy and Velgrind? Sorry? Let me rephrase that. In your dealings with them both, have you ever gotten, like, a similar vibe from the two of them, or that kind of thing? Are you... Bernie understood what I was getting at. He attempted to laugh it off, but failed. I also noticed you going pale next to him, lost in thought. Now I was sure of it. This Marshal is actually Velgrind, the Flame Dragon, and there was no doubt that she was the reason why the Demon Lord Guy hadn't attacked the Empire. That, and the Empire might have had some other threat that rivals this dragon. Otherwise, Velgrind alone seemed like too weak a reason for Guy to sit on his hands. I turned towards our big screen and let out a sigh. Oh, well, great. So if we make any kind of misstep, we'll incur the wrath of Velgrind, huh? Send out an army and she could annihilate the whole thing in one go. In that case, working with Yuki's force to invade the Empire would be incredibly reckless. Intelligence gathering really is important. Huh?
Gee-whiz.
Gee-whiz.
Well, I also
yeah.
thought of a really dumb thing to be saying in Slime Season 2. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. I like that.
Oh, jeez.
That's good.
Jesus
Christ. Why?
Right.
Yeah, then instead of ah geez, it's ah geez.
Yeah, oh,
Jesus
All right, I'll
Christ,
be
the
right back.
slime is dynamite. Yeah. Intelligence gathering really is important. Becoming aware of Velgrind at this point prevented me from stepping on a huge landmine. I wanted to win peace from the Empire, but staging a reverse invasion right now would be a fool's errand. But if Sir Veldora's sister is our enemy, Benimaru said, I'm not sure anyone among us would be capable of defeating her. Perhaps we could have Sir Veldora intervene on our behalf. It sounded a bit like a cop-out, but give the question some calm thought, and that's the logical conclusion. True dragons are in existence beyond gods even, and anyone who thinks they could fight and win against one simply isn't facing reality. Oh, I don't know about that. I hesitate to get Veldora involved in our personal affairs. I didn't want to ask Veldora for this. I'm sure he'd be reluctant to fight his own sister, for one, but that just made our next move more difficult to work out. I will need to inform my boy Yuki about this, I think. He can hardly keep his army deployed out there forever. Good point. We're gonna have to rework our strategy now, so we'll need to get in touch with Yuki ASAP. I pondered over this, but then my problem child Diablo dropped another bombshell. This sounds like a problem for Guy as well, so I've reached out to him. I think he'll arrive here shortly, so why don't we listen to what he has to say? Huh? I couldn't help but to fix Diablo with a cold, sullen stare. He gave me a bashful look back, which almost made me want to kill him. Right when I was troubled the most, this idiot goes way the hell out of line like this. You called him? Yes. No, not yes. But I couldn't ignore reality, so I adjourned the meeting and began getting ready for Guy's visit. Guy was clearly in a foul mood from the moment he arrived. Hey, I'm here. Got a lot of guts calling me all this way, you know.
I can
Yeah,
explain.
really. Yeah, really. But can you say that to Diablo, please, not me? He plopped down roughly in his chair. I had been taken to our more luxurious reception room in the guest house to avoid offending him any further, but maybe it was premature of me. This was a house that we only opened up with a chosen few. Royalty, nobility, that sort of thing. If we started taking his frustrations out on our furnishings, we'd be eating a lot of money in damages. The decor in here was selected by Molly Mile, who always had a good eye for that kind of thing. He imported fixtures from all around the world. Molly Mile, I haven't heard from him for a long time.
Molly.
Anyway.
Ah, good old. That was the little,
okay.
Yeah.
So where
that
are
was
we
little
at?
gremlin doing.
Guy arrived into the tent. Or he arrived
pissed.
because Diablo called him.
Oh, Diablo called him. Let's see. Guy, okay,
Yeah.
so what was the last line you had? Because we went over time and we've passed
Oh.
the dot thingy. or
If he
asterisk.
started taking his frustrations out on our furnishings, we'd be eating a lot of money in damages.
If
that was my
he
last sentence.
If he started,
It's like a little bit past the asterisk.
Okay, I'm like, okay, there we go. Okay, so
Like he
it's
just got
it's
there.
like 2 paragraphs in. Okay.
Yeah,
pretty much.
basically.
The decor in
Hmm.
here was selected by Molly Mile, which I think is where we were just at, who was
Yeah.
always
Yeah, exactly.
who always had a good eye for that kind of thing. He imported fixtures from all over the world, and some of them were as artistic as they were valuable. It all matched with my tastes as well. So much of the pieces were more quietly elegant than I'm rich fancy type. That Japanese sense of wabi-sabi, or quiet simple refinement. Molly Mile did have a great job sticking to that theme, I think. Riegard and his kin were still too inexperienced to reach this level of good taste. They never got to interact with artwork before, so understanding the quality of things would take them some more time. But Riegard also said, "It's so relaxing in here! It's so relaxing being in here! And there are many chairs for me to break over people's faces. No, don't do that!" Anyway,
No.
when he paid it a visit, so maybe we have matching tastes after all. Regardless, if Guy starts getting violent, or if Guy starts getting violent, I'll deal with it then. We didn't have anywhere else suitable enough for entertaining him, so maybe at least a little damage was inevitable. There was no way I'd do something as suicidal as entertain the world's strongest demon lord in a bare-bones waiting room. His chair was creaking ominously already. It was another first-rate piece of furniture, carved from fragrant wood. A soft sofa is always nice, but there's nothing like a good wooden chair that can adjust itself to virtually any body type. It makes you feel like you're surrounded by lush, inviting force, at peace with nature. If he broke it, I'd have him pay for it, but now I was doubly glad I'd dismissed everybody else from the meeting. The Imperial group was back on floor 70 for the time being, Gabiru escorting them down. He'd be watching over them while Adelman was absent. Soe was busy arranging for Masayuki's security, while Riegard was touching base with the relevant authorities to ensure the city was running fine while quarantined in the labyrinth. Kaijin, after conferring with Vester, was having him inform King Gazel of our meeting and its results. I didn't want to hide anything from him, so we'd be in touch later. Ghidorah, meanwhile, was reaching out to Yuki, reasoning that he needed to know about the current situation as they worked out our future course of action. Wow, I don't know where I'm going with all these wrong words today. At least I'm catching them. What?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you hitting? Okay, Robert. Hi. Yes. Hi. At Richie. Why are you asking? What is the question here? What be the question?
What be the question?
Okay, dude. We're reading the book. We're not gonna okay, number one, I wouldn't take suggestions for an abridged from the audience, just like any other abridged would. Secondly, let us read. Let us read, man.
Raid, damn you, raid.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. I appreciate the
Gracious.
enthusiasm, but let us read. I just see at Richie question mark, and I'm like, what happened? Because I'm automatically thinking something went wrong with the stream. And then I look up and I see, oh, he wants me to read that. I'm like, I'm not reading that. Technically, I already read it while I was muted and Shim was reading himself. And I'm like, bruh, I see your comment. I just,
Richie.
what?
What?
Hi.
All right, anyway,
Hi.
I'm going to stab you. All right, now I lost my damn place.
That's not my fault.
Dismissed everyone. Okay, let's see. Soe was busy arranging for Masayuki's security while Rigurd was touching base with the relevant authorities to ensure the king was running fine. The city was running fine. Why did I say king? Jesus. The city was running fine while quarantined in the labyrinth. Kaijin, after conferring with Vester, was having him inform King Gazel. I've already read this stuff. Okay. Ghidorah, meanwhile, was reaching out to Yuki, reasoning that he needed to know about the current situation as they worked out a future course of action. All right, here's where I left off. Gobta and Hakura were on standby in a nearby room, along with the 3 demonesses, just in case something flared up. It'd be safer to keep them out of Guy's sight, because who knows what would happen if you mix them all together. So that was what I decided to do. So there were 4 of us in the reception room. Diablo, the original perpetrator, Benimaru, Shion, and me. Guy had brought along 3 women of his own. One seated next to him had a face that reminded me of Millam's. Her white hair possessed a brilliant sheen, her eyes a deep blue that seemed to absorb anyone who gazed into them. She was surprisingly beautiful, but depending on how you looked at her, she could also be mistaken for a child. It was strange, and given how she casually sat next to Guy, they must have been on equal footing, and I knew only a small number of people like that. If I had to guess, this is the first time you've met, isn't it? Let me introduce you, Rimuru. This is Velzard, Veldora's elder sister. The Ice Dragon is probably a more suitable name for her, but either way, don't forget it. A pleasure to meet you, Sir Rimuru. I am Velzard. Perhaps you've heard the name Velzard the Ice Dragon before? I knew you were taking care of my brother for me, so I've been meaning to say hello to you. Well, I was right. She was Veldora's sister, one of the 4 all-powerful true dragons. Velzard the Ice Dragon, in the flesh. That graceful bow to me was so beautiful. Just seeing her sit so gracefully on her chair was a sight to behold. She seemed to enjoy the scent of the wood, too, but as elegant as her smile was, it still sent a cold sweat running down my back. Hanging out with Veldora all the time made me think I was used to handling true dragons, but this lady was just bad news. The danger was just palpable. It would have been more appropriate to call her a being from another dimension. Veldora had only recently grown capable of controlling his aura and with decent precision. I figured he had it down perfectly, but seeing Velzard before me, I understood just how naive I was. This woman made aura control look incredibly natural. I couldn't sense any of it at all, which showed me just how well she could handle it. If she didn't introduce herself as such, I never would have known she was a true dragon. In fact, I may have even thought she was a normal human being. There was no hiding that beauty and dominance, though, so I never would have looked down on her. Ah! Hello, my name is Rimuru, and maybe I don't look it, but I'm demon lording it up over here, or around here. Your brother's been a ton of help to me. Why do I always sound like such a putz whenever I introduce myself to people? And why does Raphael always clam up at times like these? It was so absurd, I thought, but I still tried to keep smiling. Ah, how humble of you. There's no need to be so protective of him. Okay, red flag.
Red flags, get your red flags here.
A red flag here.
Yeah. Flag on the plate. Anyway,
Red flags, get your red flags here.
butt scratcher.
Red flags for $1.
What scratcher?
Butt scratcher.
Velzer let out a pleasant, high-pitched laugh. As soon as she did, her mature atmosphere dissipated, and the impression she made resembled a cute little girl's. Honestly, she looks like she's high school age and no older. She really is related to Milim. Thankfully, that smile did a lot to ease the heavy atmosphere. Then we all introduced each other. The other two women in Guy's entourage were Misery, the original green, whom I met before, and Rain, the original blue, whom I hadn't. They were in their dark maid uniforms, as usual, standing behind Guy with a flawless posture. They were the same rank of demon as Diablo, but looking at the prudent step back they took, it sure didn't seem that way. They were primals, though, the strongest of demons, and nothing a mere demon peer could compare to. Better be careful I don't exhibit any bad manners around them, I thought, as I carefully wrapped up the intros. Benimaru, seated next to me, was the picture of politeness, but I was nervous through Shion's entire greeting. With Diablo, I felt like someone trying to dismantle a live bomb. I wondered why I decided to take this group in, but it was too late to do anything about it. All right, Shem, take back over.
Okay.
I need to eat.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I've already
me see
finished
what.
eating, so.
Oh, well, lucky you.
Yeah.
Do
I had
anything
chili mashed
about
potatoes.
it. Hold on. Once we were all seated, I asked Shuna, who guided everyone in here, to make some tea for us. She did so without any sign of agitation, a seasoned pro when it came to hospitality. Not just her. All our servants were doing their jobs as usual, as if it didn't matter who they were serving. Real professionals, all of them, and I'm sure I was watching Vesta's strict training bear fruit here. After taking a sip of Shuna's tea, I got down to business. So, the reason I invited you here is because I wanted to ask you something, Guy. Or Guy. Oh. So the Empire invaded my country, and I defeated them and stuff. I was thinking about staging an invasion on my own, but then I heard the Empire has Velgrind, or Velzar's younger sister, I suppose. And judging from everything else I've heard, it sounds like there's some manner of connection between you and the Empire as well? Huh. Smart of you to notice. Hold on. Guy flashed me an excited grin. I had the worst feeling about all this. I really wish I didn't have to delve any deeper, but things weren't going to work out that way. So, you wanted to interfere with the Empire's attempts at powering up their army, right? That's why you let Yuki live too, I bet. I'm sure you didn't want the Western nations to fall, but it wasn't only that, yes. You called it a game, but who are you playing this game with? I pretended that this was just casual curiosity on my part. In reality, though, a lot hinged on this. The Empire boasted both Valgrind and some other threat equal to her. I needed to know about it.
By the way,
We
that
attacked while
dialogue you
still-
just read was actually Rimuru.
Oh.
Ah,
Yeah.
they don't tell
He
you.
got
it's
really
the-
menacing. He got really
He
menacing.
got really
for a second.
menacing there for a second. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Rimuru menacing? Impossible.
my bad.
No. If you see season 2, you know.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, but like
He just came out for a
the
bit.
one time, like season 2, Rimuru
Also,
was like an
there's,
exception.
but I will say this: there's no way Rimuru would get menacing with Gi. Not at all.
No, he can't. He can't. Hold on. I pretended that this is just casual curiosity on my part. In reality, though, a lot hinged on this. The Empire boasted both Valgrind and some other threat equal to her. I needed to know about it. If we attacked while still oblivious to this, there was an excellent chance some of my friends would have died. So I asked him, my eyes staring right into Guy's. Or, good. If you picked up on that much, why don't I tell you the whole thing? Nice to see Guy wasn't interested in lording it over me here. Scary too, in a way. I listened on. Hold on one sec. Why did I... Okay, hold on, sorry. I had to restructure the window. Okay,
Let
hold
me
on.
read.
To tell the truth... hold on. To tell the truth, I have a bet going on with a certain guy I know. This guy has a habit of going on about these crazy ideals of his, and I want to present him with a little reality check. So we agreed that we'd never directly fight each other, but to use only the pieces we have on hand. In other words, they'd be letting other people do the fighting, and whoever defeated all their opponents' pawns first wins. What kind of pieces are these? I already had my hunches about this, actually. Huh. They're you guys. Yeah, I thought so. Kind of wish he'd stop treating me as his game piece, but no point complaining about it here. Let's just work through this and get as much useful information as we can. So, is the person you're playing in this game the Imperial Emperor? I was sure of it already, but still felt that I should check just in case. Guy had Velzard at his side, so it followed that that the person with Valgren at their side was Guy's opponent or Guy's opponent. That may not necessarily have been the Emperor, though, so I wanted Guy to confirm it for me. You got it. Emperor Ludora is an admitted rival of mine. He had no intention of hiding it. In fact, he sounded happy to tell me. And if rival is the word he chose, should I assume Ludora is just as strong as Guy? I really can't win against him, can I? And there is nothing I hate more than playing a game where I've got no apparent path to victory. If I could say something, as I held my head in my hands, or if I could say something, as I held something or my head in my hands, Benimaru was bold enough to speak up in Guy's presence. Sure. Then, I'd like to ask, what are the conditions for victory in this game? Do we have to defeat Emperor Ludora, or do we just have to subdue all his pieces? I'd like to have more exact guidance. Ah, yes, that is important. I assumed beating Ludora was my only way out, but if beating his pawns, in other words, neutralizing Empire's force, was all that mattered, I liked my chances a lot more. We'd still have a lot of nasty dudes to fight, but that'll beat tangling with someone on Guy's level. Perhaps eliminating Guy would be another way to win. Are you that stupid? Are you that stupid? Guy and I shouted in unison. Honestly, Diablo just exhausts me. He must have exhausted Guy as well, because we wound up giving each other knowing looks. I didn't expect to establish a rapport with him this way, so thanks, Diablo. I seriously can't have you offending him right now. Basically.
Bonded,
yeah, we did.
Bonded over mutual, eye rolling at Diablo.
Yeah, and he's just...
Later on,
Diablo's
they
like,
just both are sitting at a cup of tea and Veldora's just the worst, isn't he? I know!
No, Diablo.
Try
Diablo.
boosting him!
Diablo's like, you guys don't have to go that bad, it's fine.
He wanted a booth at my festival! I'll freaking booth! Poor guy was sweating buckets! He had to be hospitalized! He was sweating so bad, he had lost so much moisture in his body!
It was over a flippin' takoyaki stand. And you know why? Because he read memories of my previous life. Oh,
Wait,
yeah,
what?
shit. I'm a reincarnate.
Jesus.
I have
Alright,
a bucket full of that man's sweat!
Oh, my
It's
God.
so bad! It's very gross!
All right. Anyway.
Ew.
Alright.
I seriously can't have you offending him right now, so my rating of you just plummeted straight for the basement, but thanks. So, I said after advising Diablo to shut up for a while.
Oh, okay. There
How
we
would
go.
you...
Yeah. I'm now caught up, so I'm going to go ahead and
Oh, okay.
take back over.
Gotcha.
Because I finished eating.
No problem. Gotcha, no problem.
So, I said after advising Diablo to shut up for a while, how would you answer Benimaru's question, Guy? Guy, instead of answering, looked straight at me. The moment his lips curled upward into a grin, my sense of danger went into overdrive. Rimuru. Oh man, I got the worst premonition right then.
Ugh.
You know what this is bordering on, right?
Mm,
If I do it in this voice, it makes all the sense in the world. Are you ready?
yeah.
Oh man, I got the worst premonition right then. In fact, it was beyond a premonition. Now I understood why Molly Mile looked a little confused the first few times I called him Molly. I'm sure I'm making the same face right now. Zoinks. Scoop.
Ruh-roh.
I just heard the very beginning of
You
the
just
Ultra
hear-
Instinct theme just pop in my head.
You literally, hold on. You literally hear Ranga just somewhere deep in the shadows of Rimuru's, hidden somewhere deep in Rimuru's shadows. He's like, Ruh-roh.
No, he pops out of the shadow
Yeah.
Ruh-roh, Rimuru.
No.
Oh,
It's
God.
best if we keep the Rimuru out of it and just keep it as a straight Scooby-Doo line, I think. It works better that way. I don't know.
It works.
You know, I have a favor I'd like to ask of you. No. Well, hear me out.
No.
I wish you'd hear me out first, but this is Guy we're talking about.
Mm.
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 Sorry, I got a little espresso bean in between my teeth, and it's really
Oh.
annoying.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. It'd never be smart to anger someone with this much potential for violence, so I had no choice but to listen on. Molly Mile always heeded my requests, no matter how confused he looked about them. But I had absolutely no intention of honoring geese. Oh my goodness. Basically, I want you to stop that bastard Ludora. I'm not saying you have to defeat him, but just do something about all his pieces and help me win this, okay? He couldn't have looked eviler if he tried. By the way, the reason I sighed, that's not a real word. It's more evil, not eviler.
Yeah, I was like, that's no. That's a weird. Like striven. I don't think striven is a word, is it?
Mm-mm.
Sort of.
It's weird. Yeah. You would say I strove or something like
Strived.
that. I strived or strove or something, not striven. That's a weird word. But anyway.
He couldn't have looked more evil if he tried.
Mm-hmm.
Then he stood up and walked behind me, rubbing my shoulders as he continued. By the way, what I just described is the image that you're seeing right there.
Bad touch. Bad touch.
Bad touch. Bad touch.
I don't like this touch.
Ladies and gentlemen, while Guy is massaging Rimuru's shoulders in a most creepy manner, this is the appropriate time to tell you that consent is key, ladies and gentlemen. Consent is key.
It is.
Stranger danger. Stranger. Well, I mean, he knows him, so he's not really a stranger, but
just danger.
It's still weird.
It's Guy danger.
Oh.
Hold on. There we go.
Acquaintance adversity.
I had to dab it up while we did it. I even went.
You wound that up too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did. All right.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Let's see. You'll do that for me, won't you? He started applying more force. This is coercion, isn't it? If I say yes, what's in it for me? If this was one of those offers I couldn't refuse, I at least wanted to negotiate a better deal. Maybe this was suicidal against someone like Guy, but I decided to work him as much as I could. You know that the world balance I've been maintaining is now thoroughly wrecked because of you, right? What do you think about that? Sorry? In an instant, I was completely defeated. I was trying my best to build a new balance right now, but I'm certain it was me who took most of the power from Guy's side. To put it more bluntly, bringing Testarossa and the other demonesses under my wing was a bad idea. If I turned down Guy's request at this point, I was opening myself up to the risk of being seen as an enemy. So, my hands thoroughly tied, I gave up and accepted the offer. Rimuru is practicing the way of the basic bitch.
Good.
Just as Guy returned to his seat, there was a knock on the door. Yeah, there you go.
Knock.
It opened to reveal Shuna, the aroma of tea drifting in the air and dispelling the tension. She also had some slices of cake on a tray, so we took a break. I've already decided there's no escape for me, so I promise this isn't me procrastinating on my problems. Shuna had more tea and cake in the next room over, so my 2 secretaries and his 2 maids went over there. I thought they'd gripe about that, but they were surprisingly obedient about it. I took a sip of Shuna's tea. It had a soft, gentle flavor. Testarossa's tea was all but complete perfection, but this was rather tasty as well, in a comforting way. Huh. This is pretty good, isn't it? I was glad to hear Guy was satisfied. Oh, you're right. And this cake is more than just a bunch of sugar. There's so many layers of depth to it. The tea has a lovely, full-bodied aroma, but the bitterness only serves to enhance the sweetness. Velzard seemed to like it, too. That's a relief. Yeah, this room's got some nice decoration, too, doesn't it? I really dig furnishings like this. I wasn't expecting to hear that from Guy. A tyrant like him would have been the last person in the world I thought would understand stuff like wabi-sabi. Guess I really need to stop judging people on the preconceived notions like that. They say that the warlord Oda Nobunaga was into this sort of look as well. He liked to spend time in tea rooms where he didn't have to worry about his social status. Maybe he valued the ability to reflect on matters over some tea that way. I'm just making all that up, but still, I guess showing Guy in here was the right move after all. Or was the right move after all. Feeling a little more at ease, I decided to elicit some more feedback. Oh yeah? I'm glad you like it. You're actually the first people I've entertained in here. It's the most extravagant reception room we have, so I only show it off to people I want to impress. Yeah? Try to make yourself look good around me? I sure am. Can't really be a demon lord if I didn't, you know? If I was willing to abandon all my pride, I'd just spend my life sneaking around in the shadows instead, which wouldn't be any fun. Which would have been fun, maybe, but... Right, so a quick jab to start, show him I wasn't at his total mercy before I heard him out. Depending on his reaction, I'd adjust how I dealt with him. But Guy just laughed at how much I was overcompensating. Trying to feel out the likes of me, eh? Hilarious! It wasn't, but at least I knew I was still wrapped around his finger now. Yeah, thanks. But no worries. What I want from you, it'll help you guys as well, alright? I just want you to keep the war going and destroy the Empire. Guy paused to take a graceful sip of his tea. I can imagine Pinky out just...
Pinky!
Yeah.
Sorry.
By the way,
Let's forget the pinky.
it's wabi-sabi, not wasabi. We're saying it correctly.
Wabi-sabi. Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wabi-sabi is something different.
Yeah,
I
wabi-sabi
didn't
is
even
kind of
think
like...
about that.
Wabi-sabi is kind of like feng shui.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
like,
like the
wasabi would just
orientation of the
be-
room and contributing to the overall
Yeah.
feel of it or something.
All right,
Yeah.
I
so...
feel like wasabi would just be one word. It wouldn't be like wabi-sabi.
Well,
like that.
wasabi is one word, and it refers to
Yeah.
a type of... it refers to a very spicy type of radish.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so... Guy paused to take a graceful sip of his tea. Pinky's out, ladies and gentlemen. He's totally in his element here, like some kind of fairy tale king. I mean, demon lords pretty much are kings or queens in this world. But regardless, how guy-like to throw me a fastball straight down the middle like that, huh? In other words, you want me to reduce Ludora's pawns to 0 without killing him? Given your apparent reluctance to answer Benimaru's question, I'm assuming it's something like that. Well, there aren't any real strict rules for determining a winner in this game. The only actual rule we have is that players can't meddle with each other directly. So if the opponent admits defeat or dies, or it's impossible to continue the game itself, any of those conditions will count as a win? I suppose so. Guy nodded, taking another sip. As he put it, he and the Emperor had been duking it out for over 2,000 years. Not directly fighting, mind you. They had a few scrapes before then, but once Milim was born and Veldanava the Star King dragon perished, they began exercising a little more restraint. Whenever they had a battle, the impact on the world was just too great. They could no longer throw everything they had into the conflict. It was a wild story, but one look at Guy in front of me, and I knew he wasn't fibbing. So the game continued to the present day, Guy building up his pawn count while maintaining the world's balance. A lot of his monsters enjoyed incredibly long lifespans, and he was patiently waiting for them to evolve over time. But nobody, not even his fellow Octogram members, knew Guy's true intentions. Not even Milim, he claimed, was aware of the game between him and Ludora. Then why are you telling me? Why do you think? You're the first person in all these years to push Ludora this far. Guy didn't need me to inform him that the Imperial army had been annihilated. With all the gigantic magic spells we were tossing around, I'd be shocked if he didn't notice, but... Killing them all was absolutely the correct answer, though. You kept Ludora from earning any more pieces for himself. Sounds like Guy knew Ludora's objective here too. Thanks to him, I now had a fully accurate version of the story. The Emperor, in so many words, was giving his elite soldiers a trial to endure, a crushing defeat, where the survivors would hopefully evolve for him. The basic idea was to gin up an excuse for war the citizenry would accept, expose his army to a lethal threat, and get as many survivors evolved as he could. He had proof it worked, too, because the failed imperial expedition against Veldora not long ago produced a certain number of enlightened. Guy had taken a similar approach. Non-awakened to him were useless as pawns, and so he tacitly accepted conflicts between demon lords. The more true demon lords that got awakened, the more of an upper hand he'd have in the game. That was the whole basis of his strength, and after that, it was just a matter of timing. Once he was absolutely certain he was above his opponent, that's when he'd stake it all. It had proven to be surprisingly difficult, however, what with all the obstacles in the way. So they had kept on playing up to now with no winner decided. For both Guy and Ludora, it was a grandiose operation, one that seemed to stretch across countless generations. For most life on this world, it was nothing but an annoyance, but for the two of them, it was probably just a way to fill their free time. And this time, too, if even a few dozen people could have survived an encounter with Veldora, some of them were bound to awaken. I'm sure that's what Ludora assumed. So I didn't even register in Ludora's mind then. That must have made me one hell of a game piece for Guy. It's a little frustrating, but that's the reality here. And you want me to use this current opening to attack the Empire? Well, I'll leave the method up to you, and I know this goes without saying, but merely posing as a superpower is pointless. I like to think of him just sitting there, just calmly, like, just spoon in his tea.
Stirring it. Yeah.
Well, I'll leave the method up to you. And I know this goes without saying, but merely posing as a superpower is pointless. It's like, with all the haughty above it all, like,
Haughty.
shit, haughty.
Nose up, like as high as it can go.
Yeah. Just,
All right.
wonder what the peasants are doing.
Probably something dirty. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
something like that. Sorry.
Anyway, I'm sure he's right. A show of force was no threat to these guys. It'd just lead to more casualties without offering any strategic advantage. So forget about me sending a massive army or anything. If you happen to know this, is there anyone in Ludora's forces we should be particularly on guard for? I don't know. My focus has always been on how well I can train my own hand in this game. If I'm the strongest, after all, then it doesn't matter how weak or strong the other guy is, right? Just the kind of arrogance I'd expect from a tyrant like him. This is the type of guy who never bothers looking at his opponent's discards in a poker game. Then just when you think you beat him, away he goes with a full house like it was nothing! Masayuki, too, was the sort of guy who could draw a royal flush straight off the deck. I wouldn't want to sit at a card table with either of them, but all this game talk was getting me sidetracked. Well, either way, I think we need to get things crystal clear with the Empire, and soon. That's based on my own credo, though, not because you asked me to. We couldn't put this problem off any longer. We needed to open dialogue with Emperor Ludora at once, and if we did, it'd be smarter to come in with as much of an advantage as we could. You're not planning to travel there yourself, are you, Sir Rimuru? Oh, you're not planning to travel there yourself, are you, Sir Rimuru? Benimaru looked a bit put off, but I wasn't bending. What else can I do? I can't leave Yuki out to dry. I want to join up with him instead, and then we can hopefully work out peace on our terms. Wouldn't that be dangerous? It's going to be dangerous no matter what I do. Let's say that someone else goes out there and signs a peace treaty. Would you trust in that at all? I sure couldn't. It'd clearly be conspiracy to catch me off guard. It'd clearly be a conspiracy to catch me off guard. And then, while I'm out walking in the woods or whatever, they'd send out their assassins to get me. I'd have to be on my guard at all times, and that's gonna majorly crimp the life of leisure I'm trying to build here. I certainly don't want that to happen. So I needed to settle this matter for good. That's a fair point. Who will guard you? You, of course. Benimaru gave this a half grin. That's fine by me. He certainly seemed confident. I knew I could rely on him. Seeing this exchange made Guy chuckle. You're a funny guy, but so's your associate over there. I sensed something a bit odd about him, too. Maybe he's still got some room to evolve, He might, yeah. Benimaru's already the most trusted of my inner circle. Oh? What? And not Diablo? Yeah, he's strong, but you know, a kind of a handful. I hear you. This felt like heartfelt sympathy from Guy. That, and also him treating me as a friend. I could tell from
Another person they would bond over.
Uh-huh. I could tell
Don't
from...
even get me started on that Diablo guy you have on your voice. Oh, I know. You know, he's great and all, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I just can't tell who's worth him or she on.
All right.
He's like outside with a stick.
Girls try to outdo each other.
Okay,
It's just
Okay,
annoying.
okay. I could tell from his reaction that he's got a lot of problems of his own. Now, there's one thing I want to confirm with you. What is it? Ludora's got the ability to confer ultimate skills on other people, right? Guy gave me a thoughtful look, eyes squinting. Well spotted. Yes, Ludora's got quite the remarkable little trick there, lending his powers to others like that. Thought so. And do you know how this lending works exactly? This was important. If Guy knew the terms of this deal, it'd help us narrow down the list of people in the Empire we had to watch out for. Right now, that list couldn't have been more than 10 people by my estimation, but I didn't want to work entirely on assumptions. Don't worry, that power's not omnipotent or anything. He can only hand out powers for a limited time, and they're degraded versions too. As for who qualifies, well, I know you have to be awakened to receive the power, at least. That, and there's some other restrictions too that I'm not fully aware of. It's really not as much of a threat as it sounds like. It was a real Hail Mary of a question, but he gave a remarkably quick, succinct answer. That's just about all the intel I needed, I think. But, it really takes someone like Guy to say that passing out ultimate skills isn't a threat, you know? I was starting to think Milim and Guy were cut from the same cloth. These differences in perception were needlessly complicating my job. Watching Guy as he tucked into his slice of cake, I couldn't help but resent him a little. Seeing him talk about world-altering battle while enjoying a fancy-pants tea time snack annoyed me. And the way he treated me like yesterday's news once I accepted his request was similarly irritating. But wait a second. We're supposed to be talking about some important stuff here. Or so I think, at least. But despite that, our little private chat seemed to be at its end somehow. Disgusted, I stabbed my fork into my cake. Nothing like a little sugar to get the brain going. Time to sort out everything I've learned without letting Guy get under my skin too much. Hang on one second. I gotta unbutton this because, dang, it's pinching. All right. Sorry, guys, I got chunky. All right. Okay, how long until the next... Oh boy, that's a while. Okay, we'll go to those three dots. We'll go to those 63 at 155. All right, I can do that. But it's going to be the end because we're getting close to 2 hours.
The world as we know it.
Nope, stop.
I feel fine.
You done?
I don't know, are we?
Are you done?
Jesus.
It was quiet, the air calm and peaceful, but despite our business being over, there was no sign that Guy was leaving. Skillfully, Shuna poured a refill into Guy's empty teacup. She had a separate pot on hand for serving, so the remaining tea leaves wouldn't get used up too quickly. Man, you're good. You know that? None of the chuckleheads working for me could do any of this. I'm flattered, my lord. Benimaru looked a little worried, but Shuna was unfazed, retaining her wits and not letting Guy bowl her over. Hey, you think I could have Misery and Rain train under you for a little while? Train? Yeah, I want you to teach them how to bake cakes like this. They cooked for us at the Walpurgis Council, actually, and I thought it was a pretty nice spread, but when it came to desserts, Shuna had a clear edge. She was neck and neck with Yoshida in the race to invent new taste-tempting offerings, so she was polishing up her skills by leaps and bounds. I accepted this as normal, but Guy's reaction reminded me how much of a luxury this was. Like, ever since I came to this world, I've been doing pretty much whatever I wanted, something that only hit home for me with me now. Recreating the things I used to love, striving to make all my favorite foods available over here, but no matter how much passion and skill you had, some recipes just couldn't be recreated without the right ingredients. Even a chef as outstanding as Mr. Yoshida couldn't have made this cake we're enjoying without the high-quality liquors we're producing in Tempest. Better remember to be grateful for that. Anyway, what answer should I give Guy? I thought about just telling him to come over here and buy from us, but no need to be that stingy, so I decided to teach them only the recipes we developed ourselves, keeping Mr. Yoshida's inventions a guarded secret. Shuna, could you teach this recipe to the two women in the adjacent room later? I would be glad to. You'll need our quality ingredients to make it, keep in mind, but maybe we can cut you a deal on them later. We refined our sugar to keep any impurities from mixing in. We had a machine for that and everything. My sweet tooth, combined with the technical skills of Kaijin and his team, was producing quality that didn't suffer at all from what I knew in Japan. We weren't cranking out enough to put on the market, but it allowed us to indulge at least. Maybe we could add a couple sacks to our production quotas and pass them on to Guy. You're okay with that? Sure. And I meant it. I wasn't giving away our tech, but if we had buyers for our product, I wasn't going to hoard it. Having Guy invite himself into our nation whenever he wanted might cause some grief, I feared. But aides like Misery knew how to activate and run transport gates, so I was sure we could just send our goods through there once we finished making them. That, and I had some other thoughts too. If Guy found us useful, keep in mind that all but guaranteed our security as a country. The deeper our ties with foreign nations, the more it connected to our own safety. Ah, finally, Reamer's thinking with his noodle.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a smart boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's learning. A
About
little too slowly, but
About
still.
time. Just stop. Just don't name these two.
I think I'll name you Guy. I don't like Guy. Guy sounds dumb.
Jesus.
All right. Anyway, two countries needing each other meant that they couldn't rattle the saber too casually. A regional economic zone is as good as a strong military alliance in my book. That was my pet theory. I also didn't want any trouble with Guy, so the more cards in our hand, the better. This was, after all, the first time I had ever paid so much attention to a potential opponent. Or maybe the second time after my initial encounter with Veldora? Putting aside the question of whether I could beat him, fighting would lead to more than just needless hassle. There'd be real harm done, and barring some unforeseen emergency, I intended to respect Guy's intentions. Maybe he'd use and abuse me sometimes, like today, but I'd just have to put up with it, and I have my limits, but now that I had enjoyed several conversations with Guy, I was starting to realize that he wasn't quite the blockheaded despot I thought he was. He was surprisingly rational and understanding, too, and his dealings with Diablo demonstrated that he wasn't afraid of getting his hands dirty. I'd like to hope he saw us as useful enough that he wouldn't make any unreasonable demands. So, you mind going home soon? But my tiny little wish was soon crushed. Hold on. Before I leave, there's one thing I need to ask. What? Is there something we haven't covered yet?
Naming everybody.
Yes? Why did Diablo evolve? Da-dum! I thought he didn't notice, but I guess I was kidding myself. I hate dealing with people as perceptive as he is. Well, now what? What kind of response would Guy be willing to accept? And not just Diablo either, huh? It took a while to scope out what was happening over in your labyrinth, but how come you got all these guys down there at true Demon Lord strength, Guy's lips were smiling, but his eyes sure as hell weren't. I guess cheap excuses weren't going to work.
Understood. You could frame it as an experimentation with your Beelzebub skill, and that should be acceptable.
God is good! Right,
Great.
let's do that. That's the Raphael I know. I can always count on that dude at times like these. So, I've been experimenting with my powers a little bit lately to see if I can beef up our forces from the battle against the Empire. As I did, I discovered that one of my skills has a pretty interesting side effect I can take advantage of. Oh? What kind of side effect? I don't know. Tell me, Raphael. It's like, I don't know. Tell me, Raphael.
Understood. The effect of reverting souls into pure energy and granting them to those capable of awakening. Call it forced evolution, and that should be enough explanation for the subject, Guy Crimson.
Oh, that is what I did, isn't it? The whole evolution ritual harnessed the power of Beelzebub, not Raphael. This was the unvarnished truth, even. I wouldn't be lying or hiding anything from Guy. This might just be the way to go, actually. Beelzebub, you see, can take people's souls and convert them back into energy. Then I can grant that soul energy to other people, you see. If they're not qualified for it, it won't do anything at all, but, so if someone has the seed for it, they can get awakened that way. Wow! Guy seemed convinced. I suppose he could tell I wasn't lying to him anyway. Raphael saved my bacon once again. Yeah, well, with wars in this world, individual strength is a lot more important than the vast numbers, right? So it's a given that I'll want to enhance my team's individual skills. Yes, that makes perfect sense. By the way, I've been thinking this for a while, but you're pretty abnormal, aren't you? Huh? No, I'm not. No, I mean, slimes don't usually talk, you know? And I've been letting that slide, but then you won over Veldora somehow. You built up this whole town. It's just not normal by any stretch of the imagination. Are you a reincarnate, maybe? You are, aren't you? Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, I died in a different world from here, and then I got reborn as a slime with my mind intact. Seriously? Seriously.
Seriously.
We stared at each other. No, really, he didn't know. I thought we had broken this down ages ago. I'd been pretty public about this fact, and it was a famous story over in the Western nations, too. I thought for sure that Guy would have heard it somewhere on or other. Maybe it's not always a good idea to assume the other party knows everything you think they do. Not that I misspoke or anything, but it was something to watch out for. Don't want to give out too much information just because I want to keep the conversation going. It's really true? Yeah, it certainly is. Sir Rimuru never lies. Why is he so doubtful about this? Now he's turning to Benimaru and Shuna for confirmation. The bastard. Wow! I always assumed you were a pretty screwy monster, but that's the story behind you, huh? Simply being reincarnated between worlds is a rarity in itself, but you got reborn as a monster? Man, talk about a bad break! Guy let out another belly laugh. I didn't see it as all that funny. But now it all makes sense. If you travel between worlds in soul form and still manage to keep your mind intact, well, no wonder you got such a toughened heart core, you know? Or a toughened heart core to you. It explains why you're picky about retaining a human form, too. And maybe why you evolved so insanely fast and got those ultimate skills. So in short, I'm a stubborn old ass, huh? Well, maybe I like to think I'm pretty thick-skinned, not to brag. Never give up, never lose heart, always think positive. That's what I live by. It's that convincing to you, huh? Yep. You always struck me as a shady guy, but now I think I can really trust you after all. That's just rude, isn't it? But I'll forgive it. I can't beat him in a battle anyway, and I certainly don't want him all suspicious and hostile around me. Again, the power of positive thinking. Well, I'm glad we got that all cleared up, and I think I've asked you about everything I need to. So I imagine you'll be heading... Oh, can I get some more of this?
Certainly. I was about to push Guy back home when he interrupted me and brazenly demanded a second slice of cake. Shuna immediately sprang into action, and it'd be weird if only he was eating, so I asked for another slice too. Stress eating isn't a good habit to acquire, but I just wanted some more sugar to perk me up. But Guy got in my way yet again. So, Rimuru, let's go back to what I was asking. I had a gut feeling this was going to be painful. Huh? Asking about what? You awakening your team members here. Because it sounded to me like you could share some of your power with my servants too. But what do you think? Sound possible or what? Damn it. This dude's just like me, isn't he? Incredibly shrewd, trying to take advantage of anything useful. Making me think the conversation is over, only to pull the just one more thing killer blow. Not that I'm this blatant about it. Or maybe I am. No point pondering that. No. Guy needs an answer, and for that, understood. It is possible. Oh, the guy answered me before I even thought of the question. That made me feel a little sad somehow. I could almost feel it thinking, I'm getting sick of dealing with you. Understood. There's no such intention. No, there's no such intention. No. Something about this exchange made me think it was incredibly angry at me. Oh, you're just catching that, are you?
No, yeah, you did. You did acknowledge that you were thick-skinned, but I didn't think you were this thick.
Yeah. No, thick-skinned, not thick-brained. Anyway, better not prod it any further. Raphael's all I have to rely on, so if it gave up on me, I'd be at the end of my rope. Now for a more serious question. If I built a soul corridor between myself and Guy's servants, whoever they are, would that still work? Affirmative. Forced intervention is now possible even if you do not share a common soul lineage with the monster in question. The target must not resist the connection, but as long as it is qualified to awaken, an infusion of energy is capable of inciting evolution. Roger that. This just leaves...
remind me of Majin Vegeta in a way. Like...
What does the M stand for? Mine. All right. All right.
Instead of being R.
This just leaves one problem. How many of my souls did consume? I don't know how many people he wanted me to awaken, but if I don't have the goods, we're getting nowhere here. I don't think it'll be a problem, no. Can't be sure unless I try, but I'm reasonably sure it'll be fine. But I don't have enough energy left to pass it out to other people, though. This was my attempt at nimbly turning Guy down without angering him. I actually had just over 100,000 souls left, but Guy couldn't have any way of knowing that. Surely he'd give up now. Right. So long as you have souls to provide, you can do it then? He's not giving up? Because, I once gave Misery about 10,000 of my own souls. It didn't trigger anything at all, though. No sign of her awakening or anything, so I thought I was just wasting my time with that approach. He can just pass on souls as is like that? These demons are pretty clever, aren't they? But that wouldn't cause an awakening? Understood. In order to incite an evolution, the requisite souls must be converted into the required form to be compatible with the target. Simply giving away souls is unlikely to have the desired effect. Furthermore, granting souls to other people is a highly inefficient use of energy, producing only about 10% of the anticipated value. Aha! Aha! So, in order to make a would-be demon lord take root, you need to give it the right sun and water and stuff. And of course, knowing how to do that is different from actually pulling it off. So would it be better to wait for his servants to spontaneously evolve then? Negative. A monster named by a higher level being has its very nature altered. Even if it has souls it acquired on its own, that is unlikely to cause an awakening. So once they're named, that's the end of the evolution process. It's hard enough for someone to qualify for an awakening, but that sounds like quite the unexpected pitfall to me. The vast majority of monsters never qualify at all. Naming is a much more likely method of powering up, so maybe it's the same thing in the end. Anyway, being named changes the nature of a monster to the point that it's no longer able to extract the appropriate energy from the souls they acquire. Guy seems to be unaware of this, so I guess Raphael strikes again. Truly, it's the smartest teacher I ever had in my life. And that's where we're going to stop for now.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's really, really good. We're at 163 out of 197 of the physical volume. So we're a good chunk. We've only got this much left to
we're
chapter
flying.
2, man.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a thick chapter.
what? Oh, yeah. I mean, there's only 4 chapters in this whole book, and chapter 2
I
is
wonder
the
if we
biggest.
would have
Yeah,
actually
but they're-
finished it if it weren't for the interruption earlier.
Huh?
I wonder if we actually would have finished it if it weren't for Twitch being
No,
Twitch.
no, because I added an extra half hour.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's 10:58 right now.
okay. So we would have probably finished around the same spot then.
Yeah, about something like that. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. I really, really appreciate it. Sorry for
Yeah,
the
this was
Twitch
fun.
issues we were
Always.
having, but
Yeah,
once
hopefully
again,
that doesn't happen again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, wait, Rich Raff, Turtle, the artist, or oh god dang it, Robert, why? What? Raphael
Why would you do
is
this?
Raphael. If you haven't seen season 2 of Slime, that's why you're like you don't know who Raphael is. But stop it. Yeah,
Shit.
smart aleck.
Go watch it.
You keep this up, and I'm not reading your comments anymore.
He'll do
Alright.
it too. He means it.
I mean it, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna have to somehow take this video, put it on my hard drive, and then upload it to the light novel channel because it can't stay on this channel. I can't risk.
Tony
Right,
can
is it-
download it and give you the give you the login and let you could download it from YouTube.
I'm sorry, Tony can do. No. I can.
Whoever is the okay, yeah, you can just download the raw video once
do
it
it.
actually uploads.
Bro, I'm one of the few people that has access to the actual YouTube channel for Fat Dog. Why do you think? Why do you think we're streaming on Fat Dog's main channel?
There's a reason. for
Because
the
you
madness,
asked
or
really,
method of
really
the madness.
nicely if you could do it.
Well, I only asked if dude, I only asked if it was cool if we streamed on the channel. I don't
Oh.
ask Tony every time we do Anime Church. We just do it. Like I have the login info for and everything for Anime Church or for Fat Dog, so we're good. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna download this and put it up on the light novel streaming channel. Hopefully everything goes well from there.
Timestamps.
Yeah. Timestamps are important, guys. Please keep that. But I don't think this one's gonna really need timestamps because we
Oh,
got started
yeah,
pretty
'cause
much
it's
early.
Because we had a little Twitch had a little case of scuff earlier today.
All right. Anyway, I'm not reading that. Guys, I said I would give an update on the status of Slime 9 for those who weren't there for the Twitch thing. So here it is. Slime 9 will be coming out in January. We've got some fixes to go on and get taken care of, but Slime 9 is at this point, all the major stuff I was waiting for, I now have. So we can get all the major stuff done. We're fixing some minor things that are up with the episode, and if we can't get those minor things fixed, I'm gonna go over to Ray and see what's what, and we'll get because there's like one video thing, and most of the rest of it's all audio stuff, minor audio stuff that we need to fix with Calvin. Anyway, that having been said, we should be ready by January, and the reason why January is because we are not uploading any abridged content in the month of December, specifically because that tends to be when Japanese companies will try to hit us with copyright strikes because they're like, oh, there's no actual people at YouTube headquarters during the holidays. Let's hit them. And that tends to be how it
Or
is.
viewing of anything.
In order to make sure that we don't get those strikes and that the channel does not go down, we're not uploading anything in December.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
We may upload
smart
stuff in November and let it sit while we're waiting on all the copyright stuff to hit and go through that process, and then maybe. So if anything ever comes up in December, it's either stuff that we know can't be copywritten, or
we actually uploaded it in November and dealt with all the copyright issues back then. So we may have something just sitting that we wanted to release around Christmas time, just sitting on the channel for a month and a half, just so we could go
That's not
through
Christmas
all
related,
of the stuff.
obviously.
Maybe, but again, we'll upload it probably early and sit on it if we're gonna do it that way. That is probably the most, the most
efficient.
Yeah, probably the most efficient way that we can do this while avoiding the copyright issues or getting through all the copyright issues, as it were.
So, like, in November or pretty much January?
November,
like November,
January.
if you know you can deal with the copyright issues beforehand.
November or October, if we're able to get the copyright issue. It depends on how early we want to deal with copyright. But if we got something that we want to put out around a seasonal thing, we're going to deal with all the copyright issues super in advance.
So if you don't know, you just do it in December then?
No. We're not uploading anything in the month of December at all.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I meant January.
Yeah, January. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We do it in January. So we've got that. We've got Konosuba well into the writing on that. And already started working on Slime 10. And Spider will be coming out later on, probably in February. Trying to get Spider and Konosuba out pretty quickly so we can just move on to season 2 of Slime and get that out there as the hype starts building for season 3 of Slime itself. So yeah, starting season 2 of Slime Abridged as season 3 of Slime starts ramping up. That having been said, guys, thank you so much for coming by, hanging out with us. We really, really appreciate it. If you want to, if you like this content, and you want to see more of it, our Twitch channel is where we do these normally. So it's just we were having an issue with Twitch. It's twitch.tv/fat_dog_studios. And I didn't make a big description or anything for this because it's not staying on the channel for very long. So that having been said, thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time here on this channel for Anime Church. And next Monday, hopefully back over on Twitch. Bye-bye for now.